Welcome to Techtastic, where we navigate the intersection of technology and business, uncovering innovations that redefine our world.
Elona Lopari, welcome to It's Techtastic. It is lovely to have you here.
Hi, Christian. Thank you.
So I ultimately want to hear your story. I understand that you left a Fortune 500 company as an executive and then went into helping other executives and entrepreneurs find their inner vision, their inner story, and their inner passion. And I'm really curious, how you found that spark in yourself to jump from what feels like the safety of an executive role in a large company into going and chasing the thing that you knew was your purpose in life.
So my origin story, I moved to New York when I was 15, natively from Albania. So part of my culture, I always heard from my parents to go get the American dream. That's why we came here. So that's kind of what I did, graduated like a good student I was. Climbed the corporate ladder for 13 years. I was actually in a good company for many years and they were in growth mode. And I was able to learn and grow and climb the corporate ladder slowly. I did HR, marketing, sales. I started as a management trainee. And then my latest role with them was an executive leader in the C-suite, a regional director. Until just like everything, the company was acquired by another company. The culture changed, its focus changed. It turned more into a profit-driven culture. So I no longer saw a good fit and good alignment and fit future with them. So I started looking around for obviously what else did I want to do when I grow up, and entrepreneurship was never in my cards. I had no one in my family. It was never a model that I was even considering that I was going to follow. However, through a lot of personal development and just meeting people that were really using their experience, skills, and all the things that they had learned in service to others somehow always attracted me. Because for me, where I found the most fulfillment was always in helping others and creating value and contributing and doing work that I really cared about. So I'm always a curious child around the bigger why. Why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing? How is it, connecting to my personal goals or things that I care about, or even how is it, in service to others? So that's kind of where the whole thing and purpose came about. And I said, okay, I'm listening to that inner voice that I was hearing at that time. I'm going to start to follow my gut and intuition and kind of just grow into this journey. So I started with executive coaching, career coaching, and then as the last, 3 years, I now help purpose-driven entrepreneurs, much like myself, and corporations. I've gone back to serve the corporate environment with conscious leadership and helping them align and scale purpose with profit so they can do more good in the world. And now I offer my fractional COO services and HR services, and my consulting services for businesses and companies that want to scale purpose and profit.
So the audience is an interesting mix of people that are on an entrepreneurial journey. They're starting a company or they're at a startup, and people that are at large corporations in an executive role, usually around technology and what's coming. And one of the things that was really interesting when we connected over you being on the show is if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, and you mentioned this on your own, it's very difficult to motivate anybody, including yourself, on it. And if you really want to be successful in life, it's important that you understand that. And that's the problem, is that most people don't actually understand what drives them, what motivates them, and what they really, truly care about, because it gets lost in the noise of our lives. The people in your life influence your opinions on it. The news and television and everything else are influencing you in very specific ways. So how do you cut through all that noise and get back to the reason I exist and the thing that I must accomplish in my life to feel fulfilled? How do you find that?
I wish there was an easy answer, but it leads me back to say inner work, doing some clarity work, implementing some life systems, whether it's meditation, journaling, physical exercise, taking time to reflect. Sit with yourself, spend time with yourself. It's so true. I think this is honestly now the hardest thing for people to do, as we need to fill the space in the air with something, right? Because we feel unproductive or inefficient or not worth it if we are going to just sit and do nothing, because first of all, I don't want to go too much in spirituality, but we're human beings, right? I mean, we're human beings, not human doings. And in the being is when we start to discover those things that we really care about, or kind of gets, connect dots, I always say, or like little insight around things that, give you joy, shine your light, things that make you happy, hobbies, things that are really pulling you. When you listen to people that you consume content around, or wherever it is that you're getting your information, I always notice in my personal life that if certain, models attracted me, or certain messages kind of spoke to me, there was something about that inside of me that I hadn't discovered yet. So kind of just let those clues be the clues, so that you start to discover that. But I think at the foundation, it's of anything, any self-discovery work, is really around what are your personal values, and for you to be the person to dictate these. For most of us, including myself, a lot of these values were probably values that I've seen in my family, or in my culture, or people that surrounded me. So I just took that and kind of rinsed and repeated it. But when you take the time to sit and figure out and discover these, whether it's through the help of a mentor, my first mentor absolutely transformed me, because I started to recreate and reassign a lot of the values that were important to me as a person, without the interference of, what other people thought I should do, or how I should live my life. So, clarifying your personal values and that vision and mission, it doesn't have to sound this big maybe when you're just at the beginning, but just kind of what are you feeling intuitively pulled to really go after? Like, what is the problem you want to solve in the world? What pisses you off? What makes you happy? What are some things from your personal life that you can also be able to help others with what you have learned as well? So start there, baby steps. And then the more you start, the more you take inspired action, the more you start to get clarity around what are the next steps for you to be able to take to get that. And it's funny how companies mirror humans, because obviously who's behind companies? Humans, right? We all found them, we all create them, and then obviously we align our clients, our communities, and team around. But companies are much like the same thing as our personal life. You want to do that in your company as well. Once you discover the values and the vision and mission that your company has, then it's so much easier to be able to scale that company. So it's a lot of similarities between, that and a business, if you're just at the beginning journey of solopreneurship, or all the way into entrepreneurship and CEO level. But it's all, the journey of self-discovery. It's always evolving and ongoing. It's not like you've figured it out and you're like, okay, now I know my values for life, because you're going to always evolve as a human, as you learn more things, and as life teaches you a few lessons and all of that good stuff. But being a lifelong learner and always, getting clarity on what's important to you, I think it's one of the most important things that we can do as humans.
I couldn't agree more. The lifelong learner, especially in today's world where it's changing so fast, technology is evolving so fast, and it's impacting all parts of our lives, that you have to be capable of adapting to the change that comes. And if that's not part of how you approach life, if you expect everything to be set in stone and locked down, you're in trouble, really, because it's going to evolve and leave you behind, and that's not a good place to be. But a couple things that you said in there were really important, I thought. It's also true with the company. You might set your mission, vision, and values right now, and that's a moment in time. That's what they are today. And it's not that they are going to completely reverse and you're going to think the opposite 20 years from now, but they will evolve, because information will hit you. In my case, it wasn't so much evolving as realization. I didn't recognize that something was so important to me until I was talking to somebody and I got very passionate about one piece of it. And I was like, wait a second, I need to write that down, because clearly I cared a lot about it. And when I took time to reflect on that one piece, I realized that's one of my core beliefs. It's one of the core things that drives me. I think that the best thing that we can do in the world is empower human beings to be the ultimate version of themselves they want to be, whatever that is. It's freeing them from the shackles that constrain them to be who they want to be. And I was saying it to somebody in the context of starting their own company. They felt like they were held back. They were like, I want to do my own thing. And I was like, what is stopping you? And I got very passionate about it. And it was that stepping back and going, that's a core belief. I didn't know that about myself. I didn't know that was something I had. And so I had to add it to my list. Companies do the same thing. The Nike Maxims, if you've watched the movie about Nike being founded and the Jordan signing thing that came out a couple of years ago on Netflix, the Maxims that they show in that, and they come up on the screen constantly, like something will happen and it'll put up that Maxim. And that's what they call their values, is the Maxims. When I was there, those weren't the Maxims. None of them were. They were all totally different. And it didn't mean that they were fundamentally opposite or they're fundamentally different. Really, it was they evolved enough, they had grown as a business, and they understood more about themselves. So they'd, in a way, been refined and articulated in a tighter way. That's all. But I've
Yeah.
talked to so many founders that are like, no, this is what we believe in. We're stuck here. And I'm like, really? Is that true? Are you really staying with that?
I love it. Can I piggyback off a few things that you said? I think it's really
Please.
important
Yeah.
what you said around, you know, stopping and being almost like a child, like childlike curiosity around like, why did I just get passionate about that, right? Is that something that's important to me? And kind of just reflecting back on that, because as humans, we only evolve and get this clarity in conjunction to another person, right? That's why I always believe that yes, AI is going to advance and we're going to use technology, and we should be smart about implementing it, obviously. And, there's always like positives and negatives to everything that we do. Human to human connection will never go away. And we always learn and grow through sharing experiences and stories with each other. And a lot of the time, something that you might say might just spark a new seed in me that maybe I didn't think of something, a certain way. So just having these type of conversations, and then when you get those insights or aha moments, pay attention to them, because they're not just passing thoughts, especially if something keeps showing up. There's a reason why it keeps showing up for you and not for me, because obviously, it's not connected. I don't want to go too spiritual on this, but it's connected to our soul's path, right? So there's a reason why we're all here. There's a mission and vision that we all get inspired by. And at every phase and stage of season of life, nothing is ever wasted. It's always building blocks toward the next thing that you want to do. But when it comes, to companies, much like human life, the companies that don't want to evolve, and get more clarity on their vision, values, and mission are going to be left behind. It's just, the way it's always worked, right? They reach a certain level of maturity, and then if they don't innovate, and if they don't get, inspired with new ways of doing things or adapting to what's happening in the world, eventually they start to die. Just like human life, we don't evolve personally, we'll eventually, get worse. We can't stay in the same spot. So I think if you just compare it to personal growth, company growth is much like the same.
So there's a couple things that on your profile I wanted to touch on, because I thought they were really good points for the audience. And it's difficult, I think, for most people to find that purpose in life to start with, because I think the people that are enlightened enough to want to be self-introspective will seek it out. But a lot of people, they don't interrogate self to understand better what they care about. But how do you go about aligning your purpose with profit? This is an important one, because in a lot of cases, people's motivation seems so altruistic. How do you line that with profit? How do you find a way that you can exist in a capitalist society when you've got an altruistic driving internal story?
Yeah. I would like to start off with what's coming up for me is exactly what you said, right? I mean, the people that, if somebody is just not feeling, inner conflict and is really comfortable with where they are, then they will be where they are, right? I think what happens is that when something is pulling to grow you, or it's calling for you to grow, whether it's learning how to now, marry the profit side to obviously what is it that you really are passionate about, doing in the world, or the problem that you want to solve in the world, because that's where it all starts, right? So figuring out that problem that you want to solve in the world. And at the beginning, we start solving tiny problems. And then eventually, as we learn and grow and evolve, and we learn how to structure that into a healthy company, is what I say, the vehicle, and choose the vehicle of entrepreneurship to be able to do so, then you can do both. You can unite the purpose and you can unite the profit. And how are you able to do that is obviously through the aspects or pillars to how any company has grown traditionally, that we now maybe admire those bigger brands that we talked about, the Nikes. It's all about the brand, the market, the marketing, the systems, and then the team, right? So those are the main pillars of really taking that purpose, taking that vision, taking that main problem that you really care about and feel obviously also qualified to be able to create transformations with, whether it's a service or a product, and now implementing and structuring it out like a company and bringing other people on board and having a really healthy business model that attracts the right market for yourself, so that you're able to create the profit. And then when you create the profit, learning how to start delegating it out so that you're removing yourself or placing yourself as the operator or the owner on the right activities that you care about or you can add the most value in your company with, and then delegating the rest. And that's how you start to create something that gives you freedom. Because another problem usually, around purpose and profit is like, people are always, sometimes when you start a company or business, you started with a good desire to be free and focus on the thing that you care about and do meaningful work. And, you figure out that you really have a really overly more than a full-time job. You're pretty much a slave to your business because unless you move, your business does not move. So, thinking more on the long-term length or longevity of your business and the vision that you have, you want to structure your profit side in the ways that a business is structured so that you're able to bring that purpose into play and then connect all the people around you, whether it's your tiny team. First you're, solopreneur, then you move into entrepreneurship, and then you get to the CEO level where your company's more established and you're more established and you've put a good brand in place and you build trust in the marketplace and all those different functions are already there. Then you start to grow and scale in maybe current markets or new markets with what you have going on. And that's how you eventually expand. But it's very smart to be able to know when to invest a lot of that cash flow that keeps coming in after you pay yourself and you pay your team and you pay all the things and knowing your numbers. And then reinvest that back in the scaling of your company. That's how you move to the 3 levels, which is trade time for money. We all begin there. Then trade money for time, because you want to start buying back a lot of your time. Otherwise, you're going to die and just grow in a business you can anyway, because you're going to be the bottleneck of your company. And then the third one, which is time for time, right? So, money, you put money to get money, right? So that's the third level of freedom. Yeah. And those are all phases. And, most of us have not skipped to, the phases accidentally. But just knowing, what's out there available for you and making the right strategic decisions and aligning with the right people that can get you there is honestly the only thing that we can do to be able to align purpose with profit. But without that strong reason why you're doing what you're doing, the money's just not going to carry you that far. That's kind of what I've learned.
You just said one of the biggest pieces of advice that a lot of first-time entrepreneurs, I think they buy into I'm no longer trading my time for money. Like I'm not working an hourly job or a salaried job where I'm trading my time for money. They buy into that and they think that it's instantaneous. It's like, now I run the company and I'm trading my knowledge or something else for money and it all magically happens. And it's like, no, man, like you actually just downgraded for a while. You're going to spend a lot more of your time and get a lot less money than you're maybe comfortable with. And you've got to get through that phase. And the first major milestone you have to hit is that the company, it can sustain. That doesn't mean it can sustain you, but the company doesn't die tomorrow. You've got enough of revenue coming in that it sustains. The second major milestone is it sustains you. And then the third is that you can start buying your time. You could start paying for other people to do the things that you are doing right now. I said, notice that that's the third milestone you've got to hit. And those other 2 are critical to get to this one. If you can't do them, it never gets to the third. And then you can start worrying about the money for money eventually. Like I'm buying other companies up or I'm leveraging my capital to make more money. I just realized that we're getting low on time. I want to make sure everybody knows to go to elonaloparicoaching.com. There's 3 valuable resources on her website: a free marketing checklist, a free masterclass to building a legacy company, and a free ebook on the 50 purposeful questions towards your aligned potential. Elona, do you have anything else you wanted to share with the audience?
No, thanks so much for having me. And like I said, entrepreneurship is definitely a game, but I also don't believe in anything, overnight success. I guess that's the right term to coin it. It's always the preparation that we do before, in the back end to even get to that, even those lucky wins or divine timings that are connecting. Obviously, there's a lot of that, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do something, absolutely ensure that it creates value for others and it's adding value and you have that service mindset of being in service and contribution towards others, because most people, that's what they want. They just want to be significant. They want to look at the impact that they're able to create with others, and that's going to keep you going for a long time. So that's what I would love to leave your audience here with today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Techtastic. I want to thank you personally for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Until then, keep exploring and stay curious. Thank you for listening. If you are new here and enjoyed the content, please subscribe. It really helps us out. And if you are a regular listener, thanks so much for your continued support.
Overwhelmed by tech debt? Discover Vala AI, the solution to tech challenges with the simplicity of a click. No engineering background? No problem. Vala AI enables anyone to effortlessly tackle tech issues, freeing up your time from tech headaches. Make tech debt vanish with Vala AI, where your tech solutions are just a click away.